as institutional benefits, it's been very important for us getting many other research collaborations. So as well as that element of the funding which we got for the first 2 years in our startup, we've also been successful in various ways in getting further funding for further research in terms of looking at the impact of open education resources in different areas. And this is very important because there's a recognition by funders about open education resources, open content and its uses, and wanting to know whether these are going to offer everything that's promised. This is just a little detail about the first of those, a JISC funded, the Joint Information Systems Committee in the UK, funded a project called Pocket. And it's working with the universities of Bolton, Derby and Exeter. And through that activity, there are 38 units, we call them study units, courses, whatever, in the lab space, which have come from those institutions. They're not from the Open University, they're from those institutions. And they've been able to use those for staff development, for institutional change, for joining a community of people learning from us and being able to understand what they can do. And they're using it as action research in themselves. So that takes me on to this next stage about collective intelligence, because it's one thing to say we should be researching ourselves and researching what our own site is doing. If we're really going to benefit from research and understanding what is happening, then we have to share that research. But not only share that research, we all need to cooperate and collaborate on that research. And OLNet is an open learning research network. It's funded again by the William and Flora Hewlett Foundation, and it's jointly being started up by ourselves and Carnegie Mellon University. And the Hewlett Foundation are very keen on us building upon what research we've done and trying to develop this research community, this network research community, to provide an evidence base, to build capacity, to refine the issues, because they've spent over $90 million already in supporting many different open education resource projects. And although it looks good to them about what they've funded so far, they're not going to keep funding it, as already been said, as Terry said, as others said. Foundations are not going to keep funding this. So if it's going to succeed, if it's going to be important, then we need to understand what is most important about it. And so we've had to go back to the beginning. What do we need to find? What evidence from open education resources do we need to try to draw from this wider network, this global network of researchers and researching, open research, as I said at the beginning? And what are the issues? And again, there are some of those issues. There's still as many issues there as there were at the beginning as we did when we started up ourselves with our own action research. And so what we need to do, and what the challenge is not only to understand how we can research and how we do in-depth research about what it is each and every one of us is doing, but how can we share that in new ways so that we can understand, gain the synergies of that, and find out faster what works and what doesn't work. How can we use both old and new technologies? And a part of this is creating a network and creating an infrastructure when anyone, and I invite all of you to go to OLNet, to the site. It's just olnet.org, put it into any search engine, you'll find it, and start contributing. And it could be as little as contributing a tweet from Twitter. And many tweets are coming out of research conferences and things, and it's part of this is to bring together a whole range of types of evidence, alleged evidence, data, to create within a networked community using the internet this whole mass of data which then people can sift through and analyse to try and draw out the patterns and trends and understand what really works and what doesn't work. And there is the OLNet website. It's in beta at the moment. It's being worked up. But again, we're very much seeking comments from anybody in the community about what we could and should do. Because to finish with, I just go back. This is from moving from researching about one OER initiative, and certainly moving from just the idea about designing and publishing to use which is where much of the activity has been so far. It's also about seeing how use gets back into design and publishing. It's the return of the material for this. But it's also the other elements about how do we evaluate open education resources? How do we select them? There's this big cycle of activity which works around open education resources, which we need to look at. And it involves researchers, users, producers. And we need to find the generic tools, specialised tools, the resources, the schemas, the frameworks in which we can try to bring that together. But also just taking that out, not just from one initiative, but towards a network where many institutions are doing this, and they're able to connect what they're doing with each other, so we can truly learn from each other. Thank you.